All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast. Today, obviously, Andy and I are joined by Mr. Bartuzik and Mr. Deacon. How we doing, boys?
Good.
Good.
Doing good.
I think of all of us, Deacon is doing the is most better off at this point. Sitting in 13th, dude. Over there in Lake of the Ozarks. Tell us about it, dude. Tell us about what you're fishing and how that's going for you before we get into our Tennessee River recap episode today.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate that. That's been really, really tough, man. I caught one keeper bite in practice over 4 days. Our temp's been 34 degrees. It's been icing up every night in the morning, and then it'll get to like 37, 38 later in the day. But also found out today your hands and arms don't work very well after they've been in the water that long. I hung my bait that I've been catching fish on, and I decided I can't go without it. So my co-angler held my legs, and I took my shirt off. And I wish I would have had on GoPro. I didn't turn it around because I was off the back of the boat. So anyways, I went swimming for this bait, and it was stuck on a cinder block with a rope, like a brush pile or something. But the deal was it was so heavy that I could not lift that cinder block. So I was worried that my hand was going to get stuck on the hook, and then I was going to be stuck underwater because that cinder block was too heavy to lift with one arm. Like, it literally was too heavy. So I ended up like just pulling the rope as high as I could. And then I was like, dude, hand me some scissors or something. Like, I was like, come up for air. And I go back down. And the scissors wouldn't cut this rope. And I was so thankful that my co-angler was a Snap-on dealer. And he had a Snap-on, like, snips, dude, like wire snips. And so I got down there with that, dude. And it took all of the strength in my hand in that, 38-degree water, all the strength in my hand to squeeze those grips. And barely pull it off enough to be able to pull my bait out of the water. So I had a cold day, but man, I found some fish, and hopefully I can do it again tomorrow and slide into the top 10. We'll see.
Dude, nice. Talk about earning it though. Holy shit, man. That's baller, and you're also a psychopath at the same time. I might be like, sorry, jerkbait. See you later.
Yeah,
sorry,
I'll just go get another one.
Yeah.
Like, gosh.
I don't care if it's a jackhammer or nothing. If it gets snagged up, bye.
Yeah, dude.
Bartuzak, would you do that if the water was that cold and you were jacking them that good on a plug?
I'm pretty much a king of just breaking it off and grabbing another one. I'm not scared of the cold water. I've swam under 2 feet of ice, so that doesn't bother me as much, but it's just the fact of I'm too lazy to go do that.
See, swimming under 2 feet of ice isn't baller, though. That's just stupid.
Yeah, no, that's just stupid. Yeah, don't recommend that. But no, I'm just too lazy to be like, yeah, I'm going to get this jerkbait back. I'd be like, well, they'll eat something else.
Dude,
well, you're not a jerkbait fisherman either, right? So
no, they'll eat something else always.
Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
man.
But dude, we're pumped for you. Obviously, we'll be keeping along, seeing how you're doing throughout that. And when's the next derb for you after Lake of the Ozarks?
I do our Bass Nation stuff. So
because it's a Toyota series, right?
Yeah, it's a Toyota series. So when's the next
next Toyota?
It's at Grand. It's at Grand. So then it's Grand, then Dardanelle. So that's the 3 for that Plains division, I think it's called.
Right.
So
sweet. Well, obviously we're rooting for you, dude. Hope you smash.
Thanks, man.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate it.
Of course, dude. We'll be sure to when we do our Pickwick episode, we'll get the full recap from your tournament and see how you did, and hopefully, obviously, it's a positive result. But obviously, today's show is we're going to be talking about the Tennessee River. One of us in this was obviously here for the entirety of the tournament. I would like to say though, I was on the Tennessee River for 5 minutes during the tournament. Okay, so I
Hey.
stopped at Destin's rental place to pick up a couple rods, and I watched two guys fly by. I want to say one of them was Chris Johnston, but it was like a Well, no, actually, no. I don't think Johnston runs a skeeter.
No.
It was a Daiwa skeeter boat, all black.
Itu, right?
Who?
Or that the Japanese guy that's been smoking them.
Oh no. Okay, funny story about Takuito. I saw him on Chick the other day. He pulled into the same creek mouth that I was fishing, and he said hello. He was fishing with his son. But either way, I just saw a boat fly by because he had a place on the river. But either way, Adam, obviously because you were there, you were doing some filming, some photography. What are some takeaways you had? Obviously, we all watched clips and such of how it was won. Congratulations to Jeff Gustafson. Huge win, obviously second ever by a Canadian, but from someone who was actually at the event, what are your takeaways?
My first takeaway is I'm officially ixnaying and listening to Doc talk in terms of adjusting my fantasy lineup or weights, because I had the weight right on in my guess, like identical, correct. I think I had 63.3. He might have won 63.7. I can't remember. But no, I mean, my big takeaway was like when they got there in practice, I didn't think it was going to be this tough.
Right.
So when they got there in practice, like Scott Martin came in after the first day and didn't catch a fish. And I talked to a handful of other guys and they were like, I got 2 bites today. So I was like, oh, okay, so it's that bad. And then it got warm, so it got a little bit better, but like not significantly. Like I say, it got better in the sense of guys were getting 5 bites. Like nobody was getting 5 keeper bites before. The big kicker compared to the Classic and this event was they changed the largemouth slot from 12 inches to 14, so they didn't have to identify between spots and largies. And that like crushed people, man. There would have been way more limits because there was a lot of 13-inch largemouth caught, but they couldn't keep them.
Right.
But
I feel like that one day during the tournament, that was like 70s, and like I think it was day 2, where 70s and slick calm.
That was day 1.
Was that day 1?
Yeah.
That's brutal conditions this time of year.
Yeah, so that was day 1, but that was like the 3rd or 4th day of that. So like the first day of practice, it stormed terribly in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, all of practice, it was like 60, 70 degrees. And there was a bit of wind, but like it was warm. Like it was nice. Really nice, like spring weather. And then the tournament, after day 1, the tournament hit and it like rained 1.5 inches in 3 days. It was so much rain. But no, my biggest takeaway that like you guys probably haven't seen unless anyone's watched Scott Martin's video that just came out today was, dude, like 40 to 50 boats launched late on day 1.
I heard about that.
And that is something that not a lot of people know. Dude, it was freaking wild. Like I was sitting, so I drove down to go to the launch to try to take pictures and everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I come back, or I get down to like that ramp's right off a freeway. So I go down to get off the freeway, and dude, they're backed up to the freeway at 5 or 6 in the morning. There's like 50 boats in line. And I was like, screw this. I don't even know where I'm going to park. So I turned around and I went to the launch site, which is down, or is it downriver or upriver? I don't know. Down a mile, not far at all. So I just buzz over there, pull in at 6 a.m., and there's legit 15 boats tied to the dock, if that. So I'm sitting there chatting with some guys, and all of a sudden at 6:30, starting to get a little light, and we're looking around, and there's like 25 boats there. And we're all like, what is going on? Like, where is everybody? And that's when we started to figure out, like, okay, like, this is going to be weird. And so I'm sitting there. They start the national anthem. There's maybe 40 boats there now. And then they start launching. They maybe waited 15 minutes. There was like a 15-minute delay for like darkness, but it was definitely because like half the field wasn't there. But they started launching, and at like 7:05, McCoy calls me, and he goes, "Hey, are they launching boats?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, they're on boat like 10 or 11 now." And he was like, "Oh God, we're so screwed." And I was like, "What do you mean? Where are you in line?" He's like, "We got 20 minutes yet before we even launch, and there's 20 boats behind us." And I was like, "Oh my God." So, yeah, and it was just weird, dude. So it ended up being like, it was like partially Angler's fault, partially Bass's fault. It was partially Marshall's fault. It was partially everybody's fault.
Right.
Basically, they launched in the current, and a lot of guys didn't have their Marshalls yet. So what happened was, like, because of the current being so strong, guys had to go get in their boat, go park it, tie it up, go get in their truck to drive it back, and then plug up the whole ramp. So, like, guys kept coming down in, like, shifts of 5 boats is basically what we ended up figuring out, like, how many they could tie to the dock, basically.
Sheesh.
But, yeah, dude, it was crazy. Like, there were live guys sitting there waiting to get in boats. And I think Davey was talking with them or something, and they were talking about getting in other boats. And I was just walking by, and I went over to Davey and them, and I was like, "Hey, guys, like, I just got off the phone with Scott Martin and a couple of them. They're like, they're coming. Everybody's there. It's just they can't get in the water. So they're just waiting." So then the guys would come down to go through check-in, and there's just live guys jumping in boats as they're going by 5-7 miles an hour. It was just hilarious. And
all
like
camera gear and everything.
Yeah, and like if you see Scott's video, like me and McCoy and his Marshall did like a Chinese fire drill when Scott came through, because McCoy was stuck on Scott's boat from launching and had to get off. I was at the other one, and he had a Marshall who had to get on. So like they pull up, and McCoy's yelling at me, "Grab the gimbal," and I'm like, "Oh crap!" So I get up to grab the camera. And then McCoy hands it to me, turns around, grabs a drone and the other thing, hops out. As that happens, this guy who was standing next to me, who I had no idea who he was, turns out it was Scott's Marshall, just steps into the boat, goes and sits down, doesn't say a word. And, like, it was the smoothest transition you will ever see. Like, he never broke going 4 or 5 miles an hour the whole way through. It was just hilarious. But yeah, man, that first day was crazy in terms of launching. And what's even crazier is a lot of the guys who were in the top 10, top 15 were guys who launched 30 to 45 minutes late. Jeff Gustafson was a second to last boat out that morning.
Wow.
And the only reason I know he was second is because I was shooting him and then Austin Felix, and Austin Felix was the last boat.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy,
dude.
That is crazy, and but what's cool about it is, like, Gussie did something totally unique from, like, literally the rest of the field. And, like, I was listening to an episode of BTL where Mark Menendez was talking about that and how, he said he saw him in practice and was thinking, "Oh, this Joker, like, what are you doing out there?" Like, kind of making a joke about it and laughing, but then, like, after the fact realizing he's the Joker because he didn't go out and look for those fish, like, because Gussie was literally the only person out there.
Yeah, and dude, like, what's crazy, like, thinking about it, right? Like, if you were watching Bass Track that morning, Gussie lit him up from 8:30 to 9:30. Mm-hmm. That's legit when Gussie got to his spot. Like, it wasn't even like he had to wait and relocate him or anything. He was 45 minutes laid out. It took him 45 minutes to get there, and then he started catching them. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what was crazy. But, I mean, if you guys want to talk about what he was doing, I know I reached out to you guys, like, right away in the event and told you what was going on because I had heard what he was going to do. And I don't know if you guys really do it up by you, but, like, this is – when I heard he was going to do that, I was like, if those fish don't leave, nobody's going to catch them. Because Gussie's the best fisherman in the world at doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, for me, because I barely got to watch a lot of the live footage, it looked like he was either one dropping on him with a Demiki rig or he was tight lining him, or he might have been doing both.
Yeah.
What was your take?
So, like, what I can gather from the method he uses, so, like, it's really hard to explain because, like, you look at it and you're like, okay, it's a Demiki rig, but, like, he's not fishing it like a Demiki in the sense of like what I think of like when it really got showed out at Cherokee, right? It's more of, if you watch him on live, you can see like he'd flick it in front of his boat, like 15, 20 feet, 30 feet, and it'd pendulum down to underneath his boat and then stop it and work it. But like he was moving around all the time, and he was in like 3-4 mile an hour current, like big time current.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like him working that and the way he was doing it, like that's Rainy Lake 101, man. That's like he beats everybody doing that. So when I saw he was doing that, I was like, this is just done. Like the biggest question was, are they going to leave or not?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he calls it moping.
Moping?
Moping.
Out there
Yeah, it's a
moping.
big walleye technique from my understanding. It's what a lot of like professional walleye tour guys do that when they're jigging for them.
Yeah, it's a big walleye thing, and Gussie's a multi-species guide up on Lake of the Woods for a long time, and learned it from the Lidners who figured it out. And yeah, call it moping because you're just moping around. That's what I've always gathered from it.
He's also a wolf hunting guide. Random fun fact. But
yeah,
sweet.
But dude, the way he caught him though, I love a Demiki rig, and the way he caught it from, like I said, I didn't get a lot of live watch time, but the clips that I saw him, some of his significant fish catches were pretty dope. The way he kind of finessed those, because like no one was doing it. And I remember hearing Mark Menendez saying that, and this was a shocker to a lot of us. Mark Menendez said that he saw Zaldane near Gussie. He wasn't too far away from him, and Gussie was 94th. Or not Gussie, excuse me. Zaldane was 94th.
Zaldane couldn't catch him.
Yeah.
He tried. Couldn't catch him.
Yeah,
so like that just shows you how good Gussie is at that.
Mm-hmm.
Zaldane, Renown is so good, especially with finesse, smallmouth type techniques, and with a swim bait.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even catch one. So like to see Gussie just go and do it in an hour and leave.
Yeah. Right in front of him too.
Yeah.
Because Zaldane was on live day one, and I think the camera was pointed at Gussie pretty much that whole first 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's where all the live coverage came from.
It was wild.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
But like talking about electronics with it, I mean, I haven't used LiveScope a ton, or I don't know, whatever Lowrance's is called, Active Target, I think. And then, the new Humminbird one coming out. But people are surprised that like LiveScope wasn't used for that or that type of forward facing. But like you can't do that with that technique. Like that's not where it flourishes.
It's a 2D. It's a 2D technique.
That's a 2D DI bite. Like it does not do well, especially with the amount of rough fish I've heard that were in that river. I think it also would have got really confusing having LiveScope down there.
There's a lot of trash fish in that. In that lake.
I think
LiveScope. Yeah. Sorry, Deacon, go ahead, dude. Because I think exactly what I was about to.
Well, what I've always called it is Demikian, even if because we'll do the same thing on smallies here. Like I'll still pitch it in front of the boat, and then swing it down and drop on them. Like especially now with LiveScope, I'll still drop a Demiki rig not directly below me. Like I'll pitch it, but I did that with 2D, forever, and then with LiveScope you can do the same thing, in my opinion. But the deal, like you said, with the rough fish, I could see that, man. I'm not good enough yet with LiveScope to really decipher everything. And those smallies, normally when I'm doing it on a Demiki, they're coming off the bottom, right? Like they're coming right off the bottom. Like normally it's when they're in holes, similar to like what you saw on Cherokee is how I've done it, is like you find them in a hole and you don't even see them because they're so sitting on the bottom, and you drop that thing down and you see one just slowly come up. But I see what you're saying for sure when it comes to rough fish. Like right now, how I'm fishing Lake of the Ozarks, this lake has so many giant crappie in it and so many white bass and so many things that I haven't dialed, unless it's a really close fish. Then I can see if it's a bigger 3, 4 or what I think is a bigger largemouth. But man, if it's 60, 70 feet out there, I have no idea. Unless it's a school of crappie, it's okay, there's a school. But if it's just a single fish, man, I've thrown out and I've caught all kinds of different things.
Well, I'm sure
You know.
from that point of view too, you probably kind of trying to gauge if you're using live scope, trying to gauge its behavior, because that could probably be a better indicator of what it's doing. But I think it's called perspective mode, where it's like directly below you could be used for.
Perspective is the flat one, I think.
Yeah, that's the sideways. But no, dude, that down mode's sweet. Yeah,
down. It's just literally. Down.
Is that what's called?
You literally just take the unit and you go like this, and it flips it down. But like honestly, man, and I think even when you watch guys like Cody Huff and the guys that are really good with it, they never do it, man. Because here's the deal: even when it's facing forward, still part of the angle's under your boat. Like even when I'm shooting 70 feet forward, I can still see my motor almost like 20 feet back. So like you don't really, I don't personally, unless you're maybe super deep, then flipping it. But like, man, most of the time you don't need it. You can run that thing just always forward and see what's a little in front of you.
I had no idea that you can actually see behind you. That's cool.
The other thing I thought of just now that where it's probably more beneficial to use 2D or DI with like doing what Gussie was doing or just demeeking or moping, whatever you want to call it, is that a 2D cone angle is so much wider.
Right.
Like that live scope cone is so narrow. And you have to turn your trolling motor and all that stuff, and then you're battling current, and like I just don't think it worked. Compared to 2D is going straight down, so you're getting that out there and getting it in, and it's a little bit of forgiveness because you just need to see what's going on under your bait, not everything else. Like you're going to get discombobulated. So I think just that wider cone of 2D is probably why like I don't think you'll really ever see guys necessarily live scoping like that. I just know like ice fishing using a live scope unit down is just not as beneficial as a like a Vexlar or a flasher because of cone angle and like immediate feedback like that. It just helps so much more.
Right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Out of this group, I might be the only one that, well, besides Adam on the Mississippi, that fishes 3 to 5 mile an hour current regularly, and the only thing I use on it is 2D usually because the down imaging it scans fast enough, but it almost doesn't. So you get almost blurry images. I like 2D way more in that current.
Yeah, we never run into them really in the Mississippi unless it's an untapped thing because like this is something Gussie's never done and nobody's really ever done on the Tennessee River. And I've always thought of after seeing you guys at the St. Lawrence dropping on them in like 20, 30 feet or whatever, I've always thought like, well, in the summer on the Mississippi, you can probably do the same thing behind wing dams and stuff. It's just, I don't know if anyone's really done it. So I haven't, because like all the fish I catch on the Mississippi River are 10 feet or shallower all the time. Like they're never deeper than that. So there could be untapped potential out there. But once again, you run into rough fish. There's friggin' drum everywhere on that Mississippi River and catfish. They're just
in my
everywhere.
river too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't have enough experience with it in that sense. But
yeah. And on that Tennessee River, I'm sure there's a crap ton of there definitely is a crap ton of drum and catfish, and you'd probably get mixed up.
Yeah.
I can tell you just real quick from a 2D standpoint how you can tell the difference between a rough fish or a sheephead or drum and a smallmouth, at least on the Niagara. On the Niagara, that sheephead will actually be more elongated and more of a bow, as sort of the smallmouth will actually almost look like little pieces of spaghetti lasagna.
Yeah.
Even in the current. So that's one way to tell them apart.
Yeah.
Nice.
Deacon or Andy, you guys have any takeaways from the Tennessee River event?
Where did Steve Kennedy come from?
Like a
20-pound he's just a dark horse. Like
always.
Dude, this is a prototypical Steve Kennedy catches him, and you're like, oh, that's right, Steve Kennedy, he's good. And now the next 4 events, you're going to put him on your fantasy team. And he's going to bomb. And you're going to be like, what the heck? You're in Alabama. You've won like 8 boats on this body of water.
Because he goes on fantasy fishing and he goes, yes, 40% choosing. He goes, and he just doesn't put a hook on his baits at all for the whole
Yeah.
But it's funny, Steve Kennedy, when he figures them out, he just whales them. But then he's like, one fish, like, how? You live there. It just makes me so mad. He's burned me so many times.
He is my favorite person to watch on live.
He's so funny.
Well, dude.
Oh, it's like
watching,
15-year-old Kisslers and 1990 Corrados. It's amazing.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. Like the video back from him at Clear Lake, the elite event back then when he was just casually just boat flips an 8-pounder and he goes, oh, it's not hooked in the mouth, tosses it back, catches a 10. It's like, what? Like, okay. Just casual. And like Santee Cooper when he was catching on that swim jig, that was filthy. But yeah, Steve Kennedy out of nowhere. But I mean, I feel like he's one of those guys you just can't.
John Cox surprised me more out of anyone.
Yeah,
being out
that's
there.
A good point.
Like John Cox, if you were going to tell me, yeah, Tennessee River, 40-degree water, John Cox, I would be like, no, absolutely not. Yeah, he caught him cranking, but like
it was almost like his breakout show. Like he finally arrived.
He didn't throw a crankbait until what was the
Rayburn
event? Was it Rayburn?
Yeah,
because he won that one, right, on a Fritz side.
Yeah.
I think he caught him on a Fritz side again.
First time Mike throwing a
I'm sure that's probably what he was throwing.
The one thing that surprised me though is I think he uses the 7.6 Veritas winch rod. Like that thing is forever long. I'm like, how can you ever be accurate casting with that and those little blow throughs?
Dude, all I know is I've thrown a Fritz side like the last couple months when I was down in Alabama and like this fall and everything, and everyone's like they're the easiest bait to cast in the world. I have not found a rod that casts that bait well. So I don't know what people are talking about. Like that thing's so hard to cast.
I've been throwing it a lot this week. I caught a 5 and a couple 4s on it this week already.
Nice.
A Veritas winch. It's a 7-foot medium moderate. Casts it like a dream.
Okay, I just need to go even lighter.
Yeah, 7-foot medium mod, like your true shallow cranking stick, almost like a noodle.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having a disaster of a time trying to cast that thing. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Dobbin's got something in store that you can.
I'm sure they do. I definitely don't have it though.
But
they make a 703 moderate, don't they?
Yeah, that'd probably be it. I have a 704, and that was about the closest I got to it being all right.
Yeah, I'd go try that 703.
Yeah, Deacon, you have any other takeaways before we see how we all did on good old fantasy fishing?
No, man. I think everything was brought up. It was cool to really see Gussie win. I'm sorry, I've just been getting my charging cord going. My computer's about to die. But
you're good, man.
Let's get into it.
All right. Does anyone want to volunteer to go first? Andy, your stellar performance.
Do any of us know who won?
Bomb.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Okay.
No, I don't think we know how any of us have done.
It was probably Bartusik.
Probably.
I would have won by a lot if I wouldn't have made a change.
So I'll just go out here. My total was 773.
Oof.
Yeah, it's bad. My first day of the tournament, I think I had 3 people 0. So we'll just and then my Group A guy goes out and catches 2 pounds. I think he had 4 pounds 8 ounces for 2 fish on day 1, and he was my pick to win it. So it was just not good. And Brandon Lester, and yeah,
and one of your other guys blew half of his motor off.
Yeah, Grow ripped the entire lower unit off of his motor.
Dude, did you guys watch the videos from that? That was nuts.
Dude, I saw him. So funny. This is another behind the scenes thing. I saw him 2 minutes before that happened. Because where Scott Martin was fishing, me and McCoy were filming him offshore, and Grow came and pulled in, and I was chatting with Grow, and all of a sudden he was like, all right, I gotta go. And he left. And the next morning I saw him, he was like, my motor got ripped off right after I saw you. I was like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that sucks.
It stinks too, because he was on decent fish. Where he was fishing by Scott, there was a lot of fish there.
Right. Yeah.
And then I had Zeldane who zeroed. So did
he zero the whole event?
No, he zeroed day 1, and then he had 2 fish on day 2.
Okay. For 4 pounds.
Yeah. I did
Poor
great.
Poor guy, but it is what it is.
Well, zeroing both days is just such a huge deal, dude, because you don't get classic points. I learned that from being down there. The guy said they're like, you got to catch one.
Yeah, it sucks, dude. But yeah, let's see. I had two guys do decent. I had Matthew Robertson and I had Jake Whitaker. So Whitaker got within that top 10. So I had 914 points. Still have yet to break 1,000 in a tournament yet this year.
Whitaker was a good pick, dude.
He was. It was a good pick.
Should I go or Deacon?
Go for it. Go for it, Bart.
Go for it.
So I had I texted you guys, and this is where I'm not using insider trading information comes from anymore. And I feel bad because I probably jinxed him.
Karma.
But Matt Airy caught 10 fish on day one. So I was like, he is on them. Like, I have to take him. He's catching fish. And Matt Airy, bless his soul, had a very bad event. And that's in the bucket that Matt Robertson was in.
Oh,
they had like 70 places different. So that really hurt. But other than that, Fighter took 29th. Felix took 47th. And then I had Scott Canterbury, which I felt good about that pick the whole time because he was getting a big bite every day of practice. And then Jake Whitaker. So I had one guy make the final day. I ended up with 1,034.
1,034.
Hey.
It's pretty good.
Let's see, Deacon. What do you got?
Would have been even better if I wouldn't have picked Airy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had Lester like everyone else. I had Luke Palmer, who ended up not doing great. I think he ended 95th. I had Clifford Perch, which was a good pick. I don't know, top 30, I think is a good pick. He ended up in 24th. Then I had Christie and Bucket D, which was a huge pick. He just got better each day of the tournament, ended in 5th. And then I had Todd Otten, who ended up in 38th, so not a bad place there. I had a total of 944 points.
Dang, son. Nice. Bart with the week 2 dub.
Two in a row, defending champ.
See,
nice.
Bart is at 2. Deacon. Let's see. Bart, you got 1 point. So then Deacon, you get 2 points. So Deacon, you're at 6.
Yep.
I get 3 points, so I'm also at 6. And Andy,
baby.
Andy, you at 4, so you're also at. We got 3 at 6 right now. We have Bart with 2, and the rest of us are at 6.
It's like
Bart's
beat Ronnie Moore, but it's beat Bart.
It's gonna be who can catch Bart. Yeah.
I'm in the what am I? I'm in the 95th percentile right now.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm in the 50s, I think, which is the lowest I think I've ever been.
Yeah.
I'm just mad I swapped Arian because I'd be sitting like 98th percentile right now. I'm just mad about that. But no, it was a good pick, and like I guess going off of what we kind of predicted from this, I picked the wrong northern guy to win this event in the sense of how I thought they were going to catch him. I thought with Fighter's experience, he would run into those fish. I thought ultimately someone was going to weigh, I think I said 15 or more smallmouth to win the event. And it just happened to be Gussie, which is awesome because, like, Gussie's the most beloved person on tour by all anglers. So it's
nice.
Really good to see him win. But with that, I said the Fighter AOI pick, and I'm still staying strong on that now. Hackney's obviously a really good one because he's way up there, but I just think, he slid in again. I think he took 29.
Yeah.
He's
alive.
Yeah. Normally when they go down south early, he goes like 70 and 75th. And you're like, well, there you go. And then he takes
Year's
like 10th
over.
in AOI. And you're like, well, if he didn't suck down south, he would have got it.
Right.
Could happen.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Real briefly, so obviously Tennessee River recap today. Next Thursday, we're going to try – not next Thursday. Next Friday, we're going to shoot to release the Pickwick preview show where we'll talk about the same things. talk about our picks for fantasy, talk about some predictions, hot takes, throw it all out there for the Pickwick Lake event.
I will just say, before we go into that, I will just say the talk around a lot of those guys is that's going to be a Century Club event.
I hope
Sweet.
so.
Oh, they're gonna.
Yeah.
You talking brown fish or green?
Both.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
for
'cause they'll
sure
be,
90s. For sure 90s. But
They're gonna be fat pre-spawners ready to
well,
almost
with
get
how,
the freaks on.
with how warm it's getting, it'll be interesting, man. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a slugfest. There's gonna be fish in every stage, not post spawn.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna be big.
That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
can't seem to catch a giant on Chicks, so I've been highly debating going down to Pickwick tomorrow and Saturday.
Probably break your PB Smalley with a southern smallmouth.
Yeah, figures, right?
Yeah.
But
It's been happening lately.
But I think what we're gonna do real quick before we wrap up here is anyone else shocked that Patrick Walters is leading the first Open of the year?
No.
No, he's sniping them.
I
I'm
was
sure
gonna say,
he's sniping them.
do you guys have bets that he's sniping all of those fish?
Dude, I don't know with that guy anymore. Because the thing that's crazy is, well, number one, he gets in an Open and he takes top 5. It's just ridiculous. Like every Open he enters, he's top 5.
Yeah.
It's
Double qualifies every year.
unbelievable. Got to be the greatest Open angler of all time. But I never know with him now if he's doing live scope stuff or if he's shallow, because he's such a good shallow water fisherman, like insanely good. So I think it screws with everyone now because they're like, oh, Patrick's leading. And you're like, is he offshore chasing him or is he up in 6 inches of water? And you have no clue.
That's awesome.
You're gonna see his evil grin though when you
Dude, he's just on fire.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's hot. Get hot, stay hot. You got that confidence rolling still from Ford. Well, fellas, I think do you guys have anything left for the folks before we wrap up tonight?
Nope.
Anything else?
I mean, I look forward to next Thursday. I need a big rebound to catch up to Bart here.
The ice is melting up here, so I'm happy. I brought the warmth with me home for the first time ever.
Want to come this way a little?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 50 for the next 2 weeks, man. Like, our ice is toast. Like, it's going to be gone. We're going to have an early spring. I might not even have my boat back to go launch it right after it freezes or thaws, which would be like the first time ever because it's in the wrap shop right now. So I get to wait for that. But
yeah, sick deal, dude.
Nice.
Well, we're going to sign off here then. And Deacon, obviously, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, man. Best of luck. Get some sleep.
We'll be checking up
guys.
on you. And obviously, hope you do well tomorrow, dude. Go sack them up. And as always, folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.